We are back for another segment with the legend Rod Beard. Rod Beard is the senior sports editor at the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. And you know what? We got to talk NBA free agency. And that also includes our Detroit Pistons. But another squad that we thought, okay, hey, look, they're on the all dysfunction list right now. What are they going to do to move themselves out of it? Rod actually covers that team. And they're having a pretty intriguing offseason. I think they helped themselves. But let's get the legend back in here because we got to break this down with Rod's thoughts. I'm going to brief everybody. We lost all of our vets except for Uncle Tobias. So all of the ones that we thought, bring them back, maintain your consistency for weeks. Which one is better and which one should this and what to? And well, look, the Schroeder and Monk, the sign and trade, it failed. So that's that deal. Schroeder just walks for nothing. THJ to the Denver Nuggets on a 1-year deal, another vet that walks for nothing. And we already know what's going on with Malik Beasley. The deal has been placed on pause. They did pivot, like we said, they had to pivot a couple times. Once after the Beasley news, a second time after the Kings decided that they could go create the space to be able to sign Dennis Schroeder straight up, and it put the Pistons in a position where, you know what, this is your free agency now. Rod, take away Rod's thoughts, man.
Man, NBA free agency is its own soap opera. It's unlike anything else where the league literally changes within a couple of days, within a week, between the draft and free agency. It is just the most fun covering the NBA beat that your team can go from terrible to good to, I mean, maybe they're just mediocre, but they're still dramatic and they have something going on in free. I love this week. I've always loved it. It's late nights and you got to just keep an eye on what's going on. But it is very much one of the most fun weeks in sports. I mean, outside of the season itself, if your team is going to the finals or something like that. But it is absolutely hilarious to see some of the things that go on. And while we're there, like, how do you waive Dame? How does that work?
Wow. Yeah, free agency's been wild.
So all of this that I'm downplaying Miles Turner and the Legos in Milwaukee and the Bucks go do that. Yeah. Like I'm saying no, he can't play on my team. You throw Dame to the curb for Miles Turner? Hey, do you, bro? Do you, bro? Giannis is somewhere in Europe like, what? Yeah, for who?
That
y'all did what for
came
who?
Out so quick, bro. It was like, yo, they waived him. And it wasn't but like a minute. And then it's like, breaking news, Giannis is unhappy with this. You think? Like, wow. I wonder what this does for their future.
But Chelsea, who did y'all just waive him for? Chelsea Clinton? What are we doing?
When I saw that deal, you were the first person that I thought of, bro. As soon as I saw Miles turn to the Bucks, I was like, wait. I looked so many times and I was like, why did they put him in a Bucks jersey on here? I had no idea why. I was like, hey, he signed with the Pacers. This is what everybody knows. This is the worst kept secret. And then I kept looking like, Shams really put the Bucks. Like, like rubbing my eyes. I know I'm becoming an OG. You know, is it glasses time? I'm like, man, this is really a Bucks deal. That shocked me, man. This NBA free agency and trade deadline stuff is crazy.
But how many times have you done that in the past week?
Yeah.
In the past week, we've done that 4 or 5 times. The Porzingis thing, I'm just sitting there like, wait. Because, okay.
Where did that go
from? The Pistons have been in a place where when you see bigger names in free agency and trades and everything else, or you get your Shams alerts or your Woj alerts from before, you see the name, but it's like, that's not my team. It's not coming to the Pistons. They're not getting this guy. And then Troy Weaver comes along and you see 7 trades in the same day and you're like, oh, well, I got to pay attention now. For the Hawks, I was like, hey, there ain't nothing happening. Kristaps is going where? He's going to, I don't know, Sacramento, or he's going to the Clippers or something like. And it said the Hawks. I'm like, wait a minute, hold up.
Yeah.
That's what we're doing? That's what we're doing? So even KD going to Houston is very much, yeah, free agency is wild. It's wild times out here.
Went and recruited, like, you know, with Atlanta, Naw and Luke Kennard there. I actually think that they've moved themselves off that dysfunction list, bro. I do. Them in Orlando, they helped themselves this offseason in the East.
So as much as we were talking, and I can make these parallels all the time, and I try to tell people in Atlanta this is what the Pistons did. you were on the treadmill for so long. In the Pistons case, they tore it down completely and started over. Yeah. Atlanta's not going to do that. They're just going to do it on the fly, where they say, we hope Kristaps can be healthy. Now you go to Luke Kennard and Nickeil Alexander-Walker to say, the East is open enough where the Hawks can be a top 6 team. And in Atlanta, that's all they're talking about. Hey, we got to get out of the play-in game. They're in the play-in game every year. Let's just get to the playoffs. But the Hawks right now, is their position, they're a top 6 team in the East. I can see that very, very easily for them, that you don't know what Indiana has. You don't know. Are you saying Philly is going to come back? And I saw some odds yesterday that Philly was going to be the 4th or 5th team in the East. Come on, man. Show me some healthy knees and healthy lower extremities on these dudes, and then I'll believe. But yeah, that's I think Atlanta's right there where they can be in the playoffs this year.
Ooh, you kind of stole my thunder a little bit, because I was curious on how you felt about the Hawks, given that you're in Atlanta now, and they've been very active. But I'll just ask you this point blank. As we are sitting here, July 2nd, 2025 at 9:21 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, are the Hawks further ahead than the Detroit Pistons?
Ooh.
Ooh. No.
Ooh.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
No. Because they don't have an all NBA player who can kind of carry them. And the Pistons made the playoffs last year. I think that will be the differentiator. And you're getting, in addition to all of these other pieces in free agency, you're also getting Jaden Ivey, who might be the best of all of the new additions that you're making. So if all of that stuff comes together and the chemistry is there, then I think you can figure some of these things out. And in the Pistons case, most of this is going to be on their second unit. For the Hawks, it's going to be a little bit of both, where they're mixing and matching. They're getting Jalen Johnson back. There's some different things that have to happen for them. I think the Pistons are a little bit ahead. But, I mean, same thing. We were talking about this. Malik Beasley was the make or break, or is that the guy? And now we're seeing that it isn't. That, I mean, they wanted – did Schroeder go and make a ton more money in Sacramento? No. We thought he might be in the 18-20 range. Not quite that either. So the numbers are what the numbers are. I'm just surprised that he didn't go and – that the numbers weren't bigger and that he decided to go. And if he's getting a starting role there, yeah, good for him. But who's closer, Sacramento or the Pistons? I mean, that's the sort of thing that you ask Schroeder is, you can start on a team that's going to be trying to duke it out in the West, or you can be on a team in the East that is going to make the playoffs and probably be a contender. And that's what he chose. So, I mean, more power to him.
You know what? I think it's appropriate. It's a perfect segue to get right into Swish or Break. It's our Swish or Break officially once JB Smooth, Woodward Sports MVP in the TD booth, throws up that graphic. Let's get this thing going. Swish or Break. And you know what? I'm going to start off with a little bit of a layup line first. And just quickly, man, your first thought that pop into your mind, I'm going to start with you, Flannel Sam, on the Pistons' strength and the Pistons' biggest weakness.
Okay.
Chat family, I need to know from you guys. We've got a little bit of the draft, a little bit of free agency. What do you believe their biggest strength and their biggest weakness is?
Biggest strength is having Cade Cunningham. And I hate to take like the stock answer, but I think this is the year where he takes a leap into full-on, I don't want to say just universally accepted superstar, but I could see it. And I just think the biggest weakness, big man shooting. I don't think it's detrimental or anything, but as of right now, I'd say big man shooting.
What up, though, JB Smooth?
No, I kind of like that answer as well, too. I definitely think the weakness is the big man shooting. You're missing that right now. Hopefully, you know, the trades aren't done and, you know, there's still some free agent prospects out there we can still grab. And as far as the strengths, I like the shooting now that you have with Caris, LeVert, Duncan Robinson, and Cade, and to see what Ivey's going to bring to the table as well, too. So it looks very promising, but I still would like to see a big man getting here picked up in the offseason.
Yeah, definitely. Hey, Rod Beard, what about you, brother?
I think their strength is their depth now, that you can look at Duncan Robinson. I'm assuming he's not going to start. He could. You get a nice three-point shooter out there with Cade and with that starting group. But even if he doesn't, your second unit would have Caris, Duncan, Stu, you have a really good second unit where you could go 10 deep.
Definitely, and another year of Ron Holland and Marcus Sasser, too, who down the stretch, they played some pretty important roles. Ron Holland, from the beginning of the season, he made his presence felt by being an all-out hustle guy, defense guy, and willing to put up the dukes with anybody, man. Even they ain't even trying to fight. But I like that because, like T. Foster, the legend, always says, you need some of those a-holes on your team. And I think one more season of him understanding the NBA, one more season of him working, off-season of him working with Fred Vincent, one more off-season of putting on NBA weight and development, I am looking forward to what this bench can be. And I do believe that the Pistons are a little bit more of a balanced team right now than they were last year. I think that, yes, you had the volume shooting on lock. You knew that Tim Hardaway Jr. and Malik Beasley, as soon as that ball touched their hands, that ball could find its way into the basket within a second. And they were really, really good at that, at volumes, high percentage at high volume. But now I think that you have some players who can still hit at a pretty good percentage, maybe not at the volume, but where they may lack in volume, they're not less reliable from shooting. It's just that they give you a little bit more. They can do a little more. They can pass a little more. They can play make a little bit more. And I do welcome that for the Pistons, especially losing Dennis Schroeder, who played that type of a role for the Pistons in the playoffs. But when you look at the playoffs, these are players who I know Flannel Sam pointed out earlier. These are players who I actually believe are going to be able to more readily play their role. And we shift a little bit of that dependency off of any one bench player solely like we did Beasley to balancing it out amongst the whole team and allowing these younger players that are ready to step towards stardom to really carry that weight. But let me go to the next.
And the weakness, the weakness is I think defense overall. That losing Schroeder, you're going to see that. You will see the impact of that as the year progresses. But social media and Twitter specifically is saying that Caris LeVert is trash. I think he's really going to help, especially on that second unit when there were times you couldn't buy a bucket and they got into these long scoreless droughts. Having Caris there will absolutely help this team.
Yes.
Yep, definitely, man. I'm looking forward to it. And on to the next question. Let me see here. You know, I wanted to be able to talk about Beasley just off the top because some people, they have this question, they have this concern, they have this comment. Whether charged or not, as long as he's not suspended for a full season, it's our first switch or break question, the Pistons should seek to bring Beasley back on a cheaper deal. Swish or break, Flannel Sam?
I am going to go brick. Because of semantics, you said seek. If it falls in their lap, fine. If it's something so cheap you can't refuse it, fine. But I've been on record saying earlier on in the show that at the end of the year, we're going to look at Duncan Robinson as more impactful in 25-26, including the playoffs, than Malik Beasley was last year. No disrespect to Beasley's regular season, but very high on the Duncan Robinson signing. So I'm going to say brick because of the word seek.
Yeah, what up, though, JB Smooth?
If it's cheap, sure, but I'm still going to be a little hesitant about bringing him back just with everything going on right now. But if it's cheap, as Flannel said, and it falls in your lap, yeah, go for it.
This ain't quite a switch. This is like one of those toilet bowl rolls.
Yeah.
Almost looks like it's about to roll out, but it kind of falls in.
Yeah, one of those. Like I'm still not 100% convinced on it. I like that. I like that analogy better. Defense goaltending.
Hey, what up, though, Rob here? What say you?
I'm going to say this is a wedgie. This is an in-between.
That's probably so appropriate.
I think it's going to bring a lot of distraction at the end of the day because every day there's somebody from out of town. Every road game, somebody asking about this. Is this a distraction? Yes, it's a distraction because you're asking about it again. I don't think they want to have that. I think the ship has sailed. There's really not a fit for him roster-wise anymore. So unless they trade or do something else, I just don't think it fits anymore.
You know what? I agree with that. We talked about, this aspect of knucklehead energy. And if we said this even about J-Mo, who everyone said he's a good person, but even Dan Campbell said we need him to mature. And so it's like keeping that same energy. It's like you want to make sure that same aura or atmosphere around a player, it continues to be one that's maturing towards the benefit of the team and showing that these people are putting in that work in the gym. Hey, it was interesting to see on Malik Beasley. That's where he hit the gym. But you know what? Let me see here. Where's that next one? Here we are. Because this is one that kind of coincided with the question that Flannel Sam asked you. the Detroit Pistons are still a top 6 team in the East.
You know what?
Flannel Sam.
Swish. I can't glaze the Duncan Robinson signing as much as I did and then go brick. I love what the Hawks did. Your Hawks now, Rod Beard. I like the I think the Bane addition for the Magic could potentially be worth what they gave up, but at the same time, Pacers no Halliburton, Bucks just released Dame. Who knows how Miles Turner is going to fit on the team? I'm good. Knicks still don't have a coach. I'm going to go that they will be a top 6 team.
Yeah, definitely, because they brought back Gary Trent Jr. On the
Yeah,
low.
that's a good move for them.
That's a good move,
yeah.
but they lose Brook Lopez, who's a
Yeah.
Pistons killer. They do bring in Miles Turner, who's a Pistons killer, but not quite to the same level. It's going to be interesting to see. I do believe the Pistons are primed to retain that top 6. But JB Smooth, how do you feel about it?
Oh, I think this is an easy swish, man. This is
I like this confidence.
open layup right here. I mean, aside from Cleveland, Boston, and you're interested in to see what Orlando does as well too. Milwaukee's just kind of like getting shot in the foot. Like what happened? You got rid of Dame. Giannis is over here wondering what the hell he's coming back to with this team. So it's up there in the air for Milwaukee, but definitely top 6. Come on now.
Hey, before we get to Rod, the chat, they got a live on this one. Lunchbox says no. Dante151, no. Swish. Shot 216, he believes that they are top 4 right now. What up, though, with Detroit Gunny? Swish from 30 feet.
Wow.
He's deep. He's
Okay.
back there from Steph Curry range, man. Let me see here. Weezy D303, top 6, easy. Uncle Wayne, top 4. Charles McClain, brick. Big CP believes that Boston is done. I actually disagree with that. I think they got
Boston's
some
not.
pedigree.
No, Boston not done.
They got some. What say you, Rod Beer?
This is a top 6. This is a top 4 discussion now. Like, let's say Cleveland and Orlando. Let's make those givens. Is Boston better? Question mark. Don't know.
I still think yes.
There's so many other. Yeah,
it
but
one
there's
star
so
for
many
one
other teams
star
that
now?
have question marks.
Yeah.
Ooh, it's star for star now, though. Look at my shirt.
Supporting cast and depth, I think, are going to keep the Pistons in the top 4 discussion. They may not be by the end of the year, but they are definitely top 6. But you can wonder about top 4. There are fewer question marks with the Pistons than there are with every other team that's in that same realm. Is Porzingis going to be healthy? He's really the linchpin to all of this. If they don't have Porzingis, they don't really have a true center that's been tested and kind of gets it. Besides a Congo, and I wouldn't say a Congo is a full season starter that you count on and makes you a top 4 team. And the Pistons bring most of that stuff back. And what they don't bring back, I think they improved on. Is Duncan Robinson going to be better or give you the same production as Beasley? Yes. When you look at THJ versus Caris, that's a wash, probably. In terms of leadership, THJ may have been better, but I think in the second group and a clear second group guy for Caris puts him in a better spot. And you're getting Ivy back. You don't have questions about it. Are they as good in any places? Are they worse? And it's probably no in most of these.
Goodness gracious, I like that. And you know what? This is the last one before we wrap up the Woodward Pistons segment. Trajan Langdon, he's had to pivot. We have to keep that in mind with this context. But swish or brick, Trajan Langdon has not done enough this offseason, even considering the fact of the Malik Beasley news. Swish or brick, Flannel Sam.
I am going to say a slight swish with the context of the Beasley situation is tough to navigate, and I think the way that he handled getting the replacement was more than adequate. I'd still like one more move as of right now, but so I'll say a slight. He hasn't done enough, but it hasn't been bad by any stretch of the imagination.
Hey, what say you, JB Smooth? You think Trajan Langdon has not done enough this offseason?
This is one of those
It's tough.
those layups that don't really go in, but you, as Angel Reese said, gets one of those me bounds, and then you put it back up there. So it was a slight brick, but then you put it right back up there, and it went down. So as Flannel said, I like the way Trajan's navigating this whole Beasley thing.
Yeah.
If things fall into place and he actually comes back off a cheaper deal, all right, cool. But so far, I mean, I like the picks that he's had and people that he's picked up, but once again, I still need that big man.
Yeah, I definitely feel that. But given the circumstance, I would actually throw a brick out there.
Really?
If we believe that the conversation is that they're still a top 4 team, that's because of, as currently constructed, that's because of, in part, what he's done to at least go out there and do what I think I saw something DNC he believes we made lateral moves, but I think given the circumstance, that's why it is just enough for this team if they still have top 6, top 4 expectations. But what say ye, Rod Beard?
What did we say he needed to do? Is kind of take care of and get 2 of the 3 big free agents they had and go out and get Naz Reid, gone. All of the big 3J, gone. All of the bigs that we talked about was the biggest sort of how you can improve this team. Miles Turner, gone with a bag. Like, you weren't getting any of those guys. Santi Aldama, gone. All of the bigs were gone before he really even got started to do anything. So for what he could do, and then it's just you're trying to start your car and the alternator's messed up. You just got to fix one thing at a time. And the Beasley thing came out of the blue because they were already looking at the deal for that. So you fix that thing with going to get Duncan Robinson, and you give up Tech. I mean, you certainly upgraded at that thing. So I think he's done enough. Can you go and get another 4 to try to make it a little bit better? You can. But is this roster right now as constituted a playoff team? Yes. Is it a top 4 team? You can debate it. But can he do a little bit more? Yeah. But has he done enough? Yes.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely agree with really all the sentiments here. And Cartier, he asks, how do we get better? Because he said you just can't keep going out there and drafting in the 20s and signing Caris LeVert. I believe, as we've said for I don't know how many years, when we saw Orlando and Houston both make the leap, we said it was on whose backs, whose responsibility? Those young players that they drafted high. There was a lot that they placed on Franz Wagner and Paolo Banchero, and those guys helped lead the Magic to play in. They helped lead them to some early successes that we would have traded early on. We said, look, the Magic just passed us up. The Rockets, we were at the same level, they passed us up. The Cavs, we saw what they did the first couple years, and then boom, they turned it all the way around underneath the J.B. Bickerstaff. And so, I'm looking at this team now finally being in a position to where those young players can be the ones that help move this team forward because they have to get better. Otherwise, why are we drafting them in the top 5? These guys, Asar, Ron Holland, Jaden Ivey, and Cade Cunningham, you want to see these guys continue to be what lottery picks are supposed to be, and those are difference makers for your franchises, especially on the eve of these guys becoming restricted free agents after this coming season. So, shout out to Jabari Smith. Once a long time ago, man, Kool-Aid, that was all I wanted was Jabari Smith here in Detroit, and it didn't happen. Shout out to him getting that deal, 5 years, 122 from Houston. But it spelled to me, Rogers, one last thing, that it's probably going to bode really well for the Pistons in the negotiations with both Duren and Ivy.
Yeah. Let's just leave it at that. Yeah.
You know what? Thank you to the legend, Rod Beard. Oh my gosh, it takes everything in me to not say Detroit News Rod Beard, especially as you still repping the clothes and everything. But you still Detroit Rod
gotta
Beard.
let him know.
You still Detroit Rod Beard. We're gonna definitely let him know.
Gotta let him know.
And Carly's senior sports editor at the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. Thank you so much for your time, Rod. Thank you. Appreciate you, brother.
You got it, bros. Have a good show.
Thanks, Rod.
Hey, let's say what up to some friends and then get to everybody's favorite segment. So, or do we just wait? Because that's such an appropriate ad read.
I mean, we'll do it when we come back. How about you do Lady Jane's and then I'll do that.